Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another episode of my Lux Law series where I talk about legal battles that luxury designers are facing. I posted my first and only episode of this series about a month ago. So I encourage you to check out that video because I talk about a few lawsuits that you may or may not have known where Louis Vuitton lost. And in this episode, I am also going to talk about one particular legal battle that Louis Vuitton also lost, and it's fairly recent. It does take a little longer for me to do this, to research these cases, look up the legal issues, find out what happened, and kind of break it down in a way that's easier to understand and to explain to people who aren't involved in the law. And speaking of which, one question I get a lot is, what do I do for a living? I've worked in all different aspects of the law. I have worked in local, county, and state government courtrooms, both in civil and criminal courts. After law school, I worked in the federal government for a while, and now I work in the private sector. It's a very secure industry, so I don't plan on giving details about what I do, but suffice to say, I've worked in the legal field for about 14 years now, and so I'm familiar with regulations, writing opinions, various aspects of the law. However, I will say that I am not as familiar with patent and trademark law. Now, patent and trademark law is just so nuanced. It's not my specialty at all. So that's just a little bit of background of what I do. We will just go ahead and talk about this next case. I recently did a review of the California Dream fragrance. This is the full-size bottle. That's their limited edition packaging. Now, their fragrances launched officially in September of 2016, and they released 7 fragrances specifically for women. This is the miniature set, which I also posted a review of this. This miniature set contains many of the original 7 fragrances from Louis Vuitton's initial launch. And the one we will be talking about today is Apogee. Apogee is probably one of their most popular fragrances. I really like this, and this is one of the reasons that I got this miniature set, because I wanted to try this out before I kind of invest in getting a full-size bottle. I definitely recommend trying this if you can. It's very florally, it's like a clean floral, it smells like jasmine, it's so pretty, I really like it. And since then they've launched men's colognes. They also have a line of unisex fragrances that was in collaboration with Alex Israel, and I talked all about that in my fragrance video, so definitely check those out if you're interested. There obviously is a lot of work in coming out with new products, and so prior to the fragrances launching in 2016, LVMH applied for a trademark with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and it actually involved a spectrum of hair care and perfume. So they applied for this trademark in February 2015. Well, a year later, so that gives you an idea how long it takes for these applications to be processed. A year later, in January of 2016, the fragrances launched in September of 2016. So you can see how far back the company has to, begin this process of protecting their brand. So a full year after they applied for this trademark, they finally heard back from the examining attorney from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and their application was preliminarily approved. However, within a day, the office received and granted a letter of protest filed by KAB Brands. You might not have heard of KAB Brands, but you may have seen a line of hair care products that they make called Apogee. Now, Apogee, as it's pronounced, means height, right, in French. There's a stress mark on the first E there, so you would say Apogee. This company, KAB Brands, they produce a lot of hair care products, and they have an entire line of products called Apogee. And it's spelled differently. It has an H. The capitalization is different, whereas the LVMH Apogee is in all caps. The Apogee hair care brand is spelled a little differently, and it kind of looks like PH. So it's spelled APHOGEE. There's no stresses. So KAB argued that a consumer is likely to confuse the Louis Vuitton Apogee with the KAB brand registered marks. They already had a registration, they already had it filed and trademarked, and it protected their standard character mark, Apogee, in connection with a lot of things. And these included hair care lotions, hair conditioners, hair creams, mousse, hair oils, hair shampoo, hairsprays, mostly hair care stuff. They also protected the stylized mark, Apogee, which is spelled with a capital A, lowercase p, and then a capital H, and then the rest is all caps also. They denied Louis Vuitton's application based on KAB Brand's letter of protest. LV went back and forth with the examining attorney to kind of narrow down the scope of this trademark, and they limited it to perfumes, specifically goods and services associated with the proposed mark to, quote, perfumery, perfumery products, namely oils for perfumes and scents, perfumes, toilet water, eau de parfum, eau de cologne, and all the foregoing for non-professional use and sold only within Louis Vuitton Melatier stores, on the Louis Vuitton website, and within LV partnerships and high-end retail stores within Louis Vuitton's distributor network, meaning their boutiques within department stores like Saks and Neiman Marcus and Bloomingdale's. However, despite all those changes, even narrowing the scope just to perfume, the examining attorney still declined their application. Louis Vuitton appealed, and the board affirmed the examining attorney's refusal to register their mark Apogee. Now, Louis Vuitton argued that this denial was an error. The board made a determination that consumers would be confused by the two very similar spellings. So it eventually went to the appellate court, and Court of Appeals judge held that there was sufficient evidence supported to find that the proposed mark was similar in appearance, sound, connotation, and commercial impression to the registered mark. They referenced how the names were very similar, that neither of them were English words, and so the consumer might pronounce both of them differently or however they wanted, because they were typically selling to an English-speaking market who may not understand that apogee is a French word meaning height and might confuse it with Apogee, which is the hair care brand. Louis Vuitton also contends that the board erred in their denial because the board found that the selling of perfume and hair care products was inherently related. They claim that because they don't sell hair care brands or any hair care products, that people would not be confused. The appellate judge found that it is not uncommon for hair care and perfumes to be sold under the same trademark. And they reference other brands that also sell hair care products and cologne, including Jack Black, Amazing Grace, and Calvin Klein. One of the other factors that Louis Vuitton mentioned was that the conditions of the sale were completely different. And by conditions, they mean the price. KAB brand hair care products retailed for about $11 for, a typical 16-ounce bottle. The Louis Vuitton fragrances, when they first released, they were about $250 for 100 ml. They actually just went through 2 recent price increases. So now the 100 ml bottle retails for $265. The miniatures set retails for $330. So they're pretty pricey per ounce. The Louis Vuitton contends that because the prices are so different, that a typical consumer would not be confused between the two. However, the board determined and the judge affirmed that condition of the sales is a neutral factor. Because the Apogee registration and trademark does not restrict purchasers or pricing, there is nothing that prevents Louis Vuitton from developing a similar, very low cost product, which we all would hope that would happen. That will never happen. They will never come out with an $11 hair care product, but it's possible. On the other hand, there's nothing to stop KAB Apogee to come out with a high-end and expensive version of its own products. So the conditions of the sale kind of negated each other. So in the end, the appellate judge agreed with the board in their determination that a consumer is likely to be confused by the applied for Apogee brand with the already registered KAB Apogee trademark. And so Louis Vuitton lost once again. So even though Louis Vuitton lost on their patent and trademark application for Apogee, it's still one of their most popular fragrances, and it does not stop many people from buying it. I probably will get the full size when I finish this miniature version of it. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of their fragrances, even if they don't always win the trademark battle. Let me know what you think of the Lux Law series. Again, I do plan on talking more about other brands. If you have any suggestions, definitely let me know below. And I hope to catch you in my next video. Bye.